Let us start with some will, some won't. Okay? Um, you have to understand that some will be their will, and some will not be their will. Some will, some won't. Won't is the opposition of will. There was no won't until will found itself in polarity to discovery, and then I won't occurred. It starts off in many ideas, small and then larger into billions of ideas. The many ideas were few at a time, but became innumerable. Of I won't, I don't, leading to I can't, I shouldn't or wouldn't, I couldn't. Things that were discovered through vibrational awarenesses, having opposition, gods across from you, creating dictatorships as well as slavery. And let's say you find yourself into willing yourself to do that and won't do that. And they're in a constant flux with each other. They're opposing and symbiotic at the same time. It is wonderful what's occurring in your world, the world of polarity, human psyche. It looks like they're busy moving again. So let us engage in something. When your preferences, your points of view are that of another that won't do as you will, then you are in opposition. Whatever your mind from that point of realization understands, whatever your mind says at that point of realization, what you understand, they are opposing me, and it's not necessarily in conflict, it's not doing what you want, then you are in a mindful awareness of negotiating. It can be no other way. You start to figure out what's wrong, what's willing, what's not willing, what's going on. Like Jennifer offered Brent, I've lost my driver's license. What do I do? Well, you don't do anything. You're negotiating on what to do if you find yourself in opposition. Opposition is problematic. It's a future with intention to go and achieve a certain outcome, but the structure has presented an obstacle. And that obstacle is in the absenteeism, in this particular case of Brent, losing his driver license, which means he will confide in the worry. And the worry will give him the possibilities of being rejected, giving him an experience of lack. So, of course, he's very much engaged in this, in his cycles of problematic. It doesn't matter if he just has a driver's license or not in the now, of course, because the now doesn't require a driver's license. Whatever is needed in the moment is always given. If it's not, if you cannot accept that, then you are in opposition with yourself. It's as simple as that. Because there's another reality that is a different frequency relationship that is more abundant than you can imagine yourself keeping yourself in a lackful state of awareness. So let's give the example. If Brent decides to go out, which he has, then he strolls his idea and goes to the bar, and they card him, and they don't let him in because he just doesn't look the part, or he has too much vibrational lack, he's sweating bullets, and he smells and stinks of fear, and then he's rejected. So see, that at that point he has a choice. Once again, a neutral reality, right? So he assigns it in devastation or opportunity, potential. So if he accepts it and says, okay, turns around and just starts to follow his joy, maybe his joy is to get back in his car and go back home. Maybe it's his joy just to walk around. Maybe there's an idea pop in the head, hey, call this person. There's a whole bunch of realities, and wherever that reality is has to be by default a vibration, allowing yourself to be more experiential. Because he had ventured to the bar in the first place as something to do, because it was done in time. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it has certain, let's say, standards that are in place because it's interlaced with to do. Anything to do has interactions of expectations. It is the default because you are in time and time leads. Time leads and you follow. The now is. Wherever you go, doesn't matter. But you also can have a relationship with a problematic or a probable future. If the idea is like, hey, why don't you come out to the bar with us? Cool. I'll see you when I see you. And that's it. And if his joy gives no more thought and he ends up at the bar, then that's his joy. But if he shuts down the rest of his realities and say, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that because I'm going to the bar, then you can see his intention is going to interlace that moment with life. And part of that is getting carded. The potential was, of course, he's not going to get carded. It's his world, as Jennifer denoted. So Shagufta wants her asking. She's having love issues because she doesn't want to accept a reality of pain, a very big, large reality of pain. She doesn't want to accept things about herself. She doesn't want to give up control. She wants to keep negotiating with her worthiness instead of being buck naked, if you will. That nakedness is not physical, it is emotion. It is no defenses, no control, no ideas of negotiating with your worthiness. If an idea of someone that you are bantering in conversation, and that conversation leads to a vibration that has an air about it, an aroma of romance, and that romantic is now pinnacled by your hope, and you have changed automatically the relationship of that unconditional into conditions. And as you cultivate that relationship in time with the idea of continuing your conditions with hope, then the relationship turns out to be conditioned. But of course, as you guys know now, nothing is permanent. But it's up to you to be unconditional about it. You have several lovers that are doing different things in their interactions with you, and you are confused about your lovers. You are confused about yourself. You don't understand why they're doing particular things. Well, let's go back to my, let's say, preference of your problem: will and will not, or won't. See, the will of a person is their best self. In any judgment by any other in the world of polarity is the best self of the judger, because they are judging themselves, the reflection of God, but they're judging another because it is an identity that is your mirror, not, of course, a direct cause and effect. You guys have gotten past that. But it is God reflecting upon itself, God to know itself, God, right? So that other than you, hmm, I am, and you are other than me, so I can be I am, and we both are one and all. Okay. So that other I am makes a choice. That choice has to be their truth. And if you don't understand why they are choosing that particular truth, then you are in lack 100%. You cannot logic why a person, because there is no 50% of lack. There is never a fraction of any vibration. Every now is God all that is. So maybe you missed that part. There's not God some that is. Every moment is full. of all creation, the power of God beyond itself and the consistency of the everlasting now. Okay? So you understand a person choosing a truth. They're not choosing a truth less than themselves. That moment is their full self. But you have received it as less than yourself because you are looking at them as not correct or upset or ruffled or in wonderment or a way to fix it or a possibility of failure or depression or maybe some idea of, let's say, absenteeism of their logic. They're just don't know what they're doing. And you're here to help them, which is an excuse for about 90% of humanity. A lot of the times, they think they have a purpose to help someone who's in peril because they're not making a logical choice that this God says is logical and that God is less than because this God knows better than that God. But of course, both gods are perfect. All that is just experiencing. Okay, so now we understand that. So now we can talk one-on-one since we've laid the groundwork for some interactions with Shagufta. And then we'll play with Colton a little bit. So go ahead, Shagufta. What do you have for us? Do you have something? I can't hear you if you're speaking. We can't hear anything if you are.
Hear me now?
Somewhat, yes.
No, I don't have anything.
You have no questions?
No.
Do you understand?
I understand that I'm doing this all to myself. But
Well,
and
yes.
I yeah.
Yes. They are
And
your systematic beliefs that create a personality complex that gives you meaning, that gives you purpose, that gives you life. And until you shed those things by accepting them as you, and there will be no ounce of defense any longer, there will be no thought of changing another. There will be no thought of changing yourself to fit the box of another as well. When those are depleted, then you know yourself as accepted. And when that acceptance occurs, there's no more appetite for love of another because the love of the self is full. Then everyone becomes unconditional and co creators as we are naturally. Does that make sense?
yes, I haven't accepted myself.
Yes. You're not a problem. Your beliefs say you're a problem because they are things from your past. They are things from time. They are things that were coveted. And sometimes, if you want to be really nasty and honest here, you use them as excuses why you have problems. Most people do. So let's understand that excuses only validate. That's all. You
And keep
never
it
need to
alive.
play the victim. Of course, you keep it alive. Energy follows awareness. That is a stone cold number one idea that we've given you since we met Earth. We, the collective that is interacting with you as humanitarians.
And doing nothing and just accepting.
Of course. Why do anything? What are you going to do? Make it better? If you have to make
No.
something better, that means you're worse. That means you have to accept something about you that's judgmental from the core of you, not the core of them. They're not a cause. You're allowing it to be effective because you're seeing it as a cause. They're neutral. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing nothing is creating nothing. Or just being.
Doing nothing is creating allowance. Allowance shows you what you've always tried to control that never needed to be controlled in the first place. Taking no action except the action of absolute blissful passion that has no outcome, none, zero. I'm not going to do this to gain because that's not passion, that's intention. Passion is the moment. If you love teaching, you go to work without thinking about going to work. You're not going to work to get a job or to make money or to have an outcome or to get through the day or to keep yourself busy. right?
Yeah.
So that's how you have to respect the idea of your beliefs. You keep them in a, let's say, a conformity with yourself. You conform this idea of respect for your own values. Hmm? And you hold on to them because they have given you life, as if you owe these covets, these values, something, but you do
I
not.
don't even, I don't even know what I value.
Where you don't have to value anything. There's nothing to value because there's nothing to disvalue. Life is value. Life is relevant. There's nothing irrelevant in the now. You can irrelevant things as the past. Well, that was a shitty experience. No, it wasn't. You're making the relevance into irrelevant, which is a possibility of what? Unconditional. Otherwise, you can't do it. So you don't need to value anything. But you were valuing things. You did value things. And it's good you don't know what to value anymore because there's no reason to value anything over another because then you become opposition. You become the tilting of the scales, saying one thing is better than another. But there isn't. There just is all that is. Polarity gives you that version. Following?
Yes, I am.
You have to learn
Yeah.
to fall in love with yourself. Take a break.
A
You
break
don't need
from what?
another to complete you.
Hmm.
You're already whole. You're not realizing you're whole because you're so busy trying to make yourself feel whole through other people's love. And when they don't do the love that you want, then you try to change yourself or blame them and try to change them or get them to change so you can be happy. Why would you ever want someone to make you happy?
I don't. I
Okay,
really
then
don't.
stop. Realize it, accept it. Your self idea of this lackful self inside. Accept that self that is very painful and you're very, very afraid to accept. And then you won't have to worry about anyone else
Yeah.
because you become whole. There's no need. You can't feel that yet. And that's why the mind drives on to gain that. And it doesn't seem possible because you haven't experienced it yet. But when you are whole, there's no reason. You have no inkling, zero inkling. Let me equate it. Would you ever step in front of a bus just to experience it? Most people would. Would you put your hand on a hot stove, blazing hot? Most people would. Because you understand that relationship is something that's not passionate. It doesn't even inkling you during the day. You're driving home from work. Oh, I think I want to get run over by a bus. Oh, I wonder what it's like to get shot. There's these things that you don't want to particular experience anymore. And they could be, let's say, I never want to be a vegan. I don't want to ride a roller coaster. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
These are some things that you have no occurrence in your mind would ever come into your reality because there's no reason, there's no focus, there's no equation of vibrational match. So it's never on your radar. So this idea will never be on your radar to find another to fulfill your lack. It will go away. It has to because it's not a vibrational match to your lack right now, which is, of course, producing the feeling of lack because your self-imposed view that was taught as a coveter through the default systems of reality, your human self has coveted these things by the default, once again, to give yourself an experience of lack. But you have to accept everything about you to be full again. Because right now you're keeping everything outside of you. Yourselves that you know you are. Are you following?
Yeah. Which I don't know myself outside of me.
Perfect. You got to get to know you. But don't have a pity party about it because you ain't alone. Look at the class. Everyone's going through their ideas. It's a unique universe. Masters chose this idea to shed human belief systems as a way to live, which is valid, but there's also a different way to relate to humanity through not polarity. Simple. It's a bitch to get there. See, when you have something that you think up in your mind and it's in time and it gives you that's the right thing to do, then you know it's lack. or that's going to make me feel better. Then you know it's lack. Then you know you're in time, because now doesn't require anything. And you have to start to get to now by accepting everything about yourself that you keep trying to change with time, with intention, with effort, with hard work, with hope, with dreams, with asking, with doing things to gain this quality of life through the quantity of the nows, which of course is predicated on lack. So of course it's going to be empty. Why do you think you guys are still going after things? Because you still have that emptiness. You've never not gone after things. But the more and more you live now, there's nothing to go after because the now is whole. It's full. It's all that is. And you'll be bubbling up to the very rim of your capability, of your understanding. And every now you only get larger, and you're filled as you're getting larger. You keep yourself contained by using what you know as control in time to keep yourself a same frequency band over and over and over and over and over again. That's why you keep pursuing. Of course, the whole self of you is growing, but you, the fractal, stays in the same idea by being, I am not this. I need to be that. I am not that. I need to be this. You don't need anything. The now is whole, complete, full.
So what
Make
is the
sense?
feeling of full?
Huh?
What is the feeling of full?
You
Neutrality?
can't have that. I can't tell you that. Full is no lack. If you are wondering what that is, then you are feeling lack, not full. Because full does not wonder what full feels like. Full is. Make sense?
Yes.
Well, we've given you the resources, the awarenesses, the terminology, the experience, the sharing, the classes in and of itself to see how you are to yourself. And that relationship is what you are in creation as of this now. Those truths give you a certain experience of lack. You recognize the truths, you no longer validate the truths, you accept the truths wholly. Not 1 ounce of negotiation to keep that truth as a cause, effect, a blame, or something else other than you, because it is you. Those selves are created by the covets, accepted by the whole of you, because you are consciously whole of your own awareness. Once again, returning home, you must vacuum, suck in everything as you. Take it back into the fold of the whole, and then you will know thyself. See, if you're this idea, and then you accept that idea that you don't like about yourself, and you accept it, you will never recognize that idea that you don't like about yourself. You ever go back in history and remember a regretful moment?
No.
Well, the new person sees the regret, but the person in the now that was the truth of itself didn't realize regret. It just did it. It was its highest truth, which is full, right? Are you following me?
Yeah.
Okay. So that fullness in that moment was the truth of that self that was, let's say, 2 years ago. And now let's fast forward to now. And now you can look back and you regret that self. Well, this self has grown. Otherwise, it can't recognize its regret, right? So if you accept that regret is that was my best self, but you have a vibrational lack of regret, that means you're recognizing a filter that's keeping you separated from all that is. Doesn't matter what time it is, it's in the now. So you accept yourself as, damn, that was bad move on my part. Well, how can it have been a bad move? It was my best self. What's saying bad? Oh, I'm saying bad. That's my belief that I did a wrong move, because if I would have done this differently, then my life would be different. So that means you're only lack. And you're targeting some kind of systematic idea, finding something so you can validate through your own lack, it's okay, I fucked up. So you can feel better and cycle it again. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Are you seeing
And
that?
yeah, so the cycling is just to stop the cycling, or not just even stop, accept the cycling.
Accept it. Accept it. Accept it. Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, you had mentioned a couple minutes ago the why, asking the other person and like the whatever you want to say, the relationship or whatever, why. And I found that's very important because that's just speaking out of lack. And
Yeah.
Yes.
all that is for myself, especially, is just reinforcing that. And then that just leads to the whole cycle over and over again.
Over and over again.
And the one thing I can say to you, Shagufta, is as soon as you want to ask someone to validate their actions, don't, because it's just going to lead nowhere.
It's
So
a cycle.
yeah, exactly. And you're always going to want to know more, and you're never going to get the full answer or like
Oh,
satisfaction or
perfect. You're right. Why? Because you asked it in lack, so therefore it's empty. So whatever reason, it's never going to be enough. You're always going to find another way to be lack full. Right?
yeah.
You see that, Colton?
Yeah.
How about you, Shagufta? You see that?
I see that.
Okay. So that's why you accept the pain. If you've been rejected, I'm not enough. I am not enough.
I am not enough.
There you go. And then now you know, as you truly accept I am not enough, that you are enough. Because you cannot be not enough when you are all that is. But it takes every single time it comes up. It takes master, tedious discipleship of ascending to do this work and say, I am not enough. Fuck. And you find it and find it and finally keep going.
I'm not enough in the why.
You're
I'm
not enough in
the how.
anything. How, why, what, doesn't matter. Whatever is in the now, that's what it is. You accept that and say, fuck. But don't accept it out of a conscious idea of a process because you're thinking, oh, when's it going to go away? You can't do that either. You have to be the moment, not the moment to fix the problem, to make yourself feel better, because that cycle is still lack. That's a shout out to Brent Harpy. Go back and listen to the last 15 seconds, Brent.
The other thing I wanted to say too is when you're trying to convey a point to the other person, don't speak I don't know how to put it into words. I guess don't speak out of lack, because they're not gonna comprehend what you're saying because your vibration is so I guess not there with what you're trying to convey. So
Right.
it's just gonna lead to an argument pretty much.
Well, the thing is, for you, you're trying to convince people out of your lack, right? And they're not going to understand that because it's lack in and of itself. So the frequencies won't match, because if they're lack and you're lack, you guys are just giving each other back lack. You're just giving it back and forth unconditional in the simultaneous moment, right?
Yeah.
So of course, it's like, have you ever heard in the classroom, people say, well, I don't know how to say it. Let me try. And they struggle to ask a question. That's lack. They're trying to figure out something they don't need to. Because if you're having difficulty, stop. Do we mean effortless sometime? No, we mean effortless in the now, which is all the time.
Can I just add something to this conversation? I was talking to Brent earlier on today, and he showed me something through what he was going through, and it's so important that we understand this. When you are totally authentic in your moment, like Colton, I hear you saying, don't do this, don't do that. When you're talking to someone, the only way that you got to the place that you are now to see what you were doing was by being it. So you can right now go, okay, well, the next time I'll behave in a different way, or I'll do something different to get a different outcome. What would be really great would be to see that what you did in that moment was beautiful because it helped you to understand what you are in the moment. Same thing with Shagufta. You did nothing wrong. You're the only thing that we do that makes all this process cycle and go longer is by thinking about it and what the best way is to get through it. The balls is literally Brent going out without his ID. You talking to the guy, Colton, you going and being who you are in the moment, because whatever craziness you think that is, it shows you what you are in that moment, which is what you are not essentially. So it's not getting upset with yourself because of what you did. It's looking at it now from a perspective of, oh, okay, I don't need to do that anymore because it's that whole thing of I'm being this to understand that I'm not this. And you guys are rocking it. You shouldn't be upset with yourselves. You're actually seeing more of what you don't choose to be anymore by actually being that in the moment. So I'd be having a little party if I were you, because you don't ever need to be that vibration again, ever.
If they
That makes sense?
understand that as an acceptance. And it's the idea which we often should go to momentarily go about regret. That person got you to this person. Right, Jen?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. I mean, I think there's been enough times for me that I've been in a place of sitting and thinking about how I would react to something and then looking back on it and regretting, to know now that really what we were saying yesterday is true. Nothing matters. It's the shock to the system that you're doing everything to yourself. It is hard for us as humans to look at someone that's barking down our throat or doing something that we think is at us, to actually get that we are translating whatever they're saying to us through a filter that we believe in. So when you know that, you can start to relax, but it takes quite a few of those instances, those moments, to really understand that you're doing it, and freedom is just around the door. It's just opening the door to that and going, I don't need to worry about anything anymore because I'm free and everything's in the moment and I don't need to think so hard. When you're Brent had such a huge breakthrough today. I was talking to him and he was actually understanding that everything that he wants to do in the moment, he should do to find out what he really is. He doesn't need to judge it anymore. And he, out of everybody in the class, is for me one of the most powerful beings. He really today find in him to, in one heartbeat, just let go of it and go, okay, I'm good. And I get to go out and have fun and play. So there.
So there. Yes. And this has to be individual, unique, intimate with the self. You have to explore yourself, Shagufta, Brent, everybody, called it. To know thyself is not to know the others in judgment, and not to know yourself in opposition, judgment. It's to know thyself in honesty. There was an exquisite class. Many of you grazed over it. Being honest with your emotions. Be the emotions. Let them sing songs to you of quality. Let them share with you their despair, their upbringing, their development, their ways they react to the reality around, to the acceptance. Every emotion has a signature. It has a story to tell. You guys are using your emotions as a constant way to create your reality. If you get too good, you have to let go of some worthiness. If it gets too bad, you have to bring your worthiness back and go to work. And you find yourself taking emotions to measure your position in life. Your emotions are a way to experience a certain density. They are nothing more than that. They are what you have created as, my pardons, a way to relate to reality of third density in a human psyche of polarization. So this way to experience is frequented on avoidance and going after. Your emotions tell you where you're at. If you let go of where you're at and have no concerns and are no longer afraid of the light, afraid of your own joy, afraid of your own evolution through the darkest parts of yourself, then your emotions will start to become invalidated as what they have validated as. Again, you have a emotion, and that emotion is spread through the nows. The emotion is a way to relate. Your emotion that you have is from the most bottom depths of your experience, not in a standard, as what is reflected as a truth. So, your emotion, if you will, has the ability to go to the darkest places you can imagine, as well as the highest places you can imagine. But it also has a capability of going beyond those polarity fields to a world that doesn't have the same equation of measurement, yet is experience emotion through the stretchings of the now. Okay? So if you know your emotion of suffering, of pain, if you know your emotion of I'm lack, I'm not enough, I suck, I'm ugly, if you get to know intimately that emotion, it will tell you its cause, its effect, its birthright, its way. It'll come to you. But you have to be a master of patience and you have to be an explorer of honesty. You got to be the authentic acceptance. The meek shall inherit yourself. I know the Bible says the earth. So let's look at that, okay? This emotion that's honestly in saying it is me. I am lack, as Shagufta stated. I am not enough. I am this thing. You start to bring that in every single time it comes up and let it pass through you. You will experience a vibrational pain that you have been taught to avoid your entire life. You get depressed, you call a friend, you get cheered up, you go through some times, and everyone gets back to middle ground. You get a coffee, you get a drink, you go for a talk, catch a movie, whatever, and you get through it. Well, that's a cycle because you were taught to go away from your bad times. And many of you are, let's say, full of lack enough to reject an evolutionary time. You can't accept too much good. That's why, let's say, it's so easy to get hoodwinked on this earth because now, with most people, everything is too good to be true. You started that lack in the, let's say, in the 20s. When the roaring 20s start to hit, there was swindling going on all over the place. Too good to be true carried through generations. And you guys put up defenses, and yet today you still have 1,000 ways to keep yourself separated against the swindlers of the world, which means only one thing. Since you have a defense, you will create an attacker. That's law. Okay. So if you are intimate with yourself of that lack will tell you, I am not lack. You are creating me as lack. I am emotion that gives you what you are in the moment. You bend me into a frequency according to the filter. Recognize me as an honest way to understand your filter. Use your emotions honestly. Now, let's go to the other side of the scale. Let's go to happiness. How can happiness in and of itself be temporary? Because you're looking for happiness, and happiness does not exist as temporary. Happiness is. But you're looking for happiness in time, and happiness is not in time, it is in the now. And what happiness is a sliver compared to what bliss is beyond happiness, beyond bliss, actually, and beyond polarity. But until you get there, happiness is not, yay, I'm happy all the time. Boop, 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 boop. You might be silly in the moment, you might be happy in the moment, but it is the now relationship that doesn't say I'm happy or sad. It's the way you are relating. That's what this non-polarity doesn't have rules on how you feel, because this makes me happy or that doesn't make me happy. So happy is still polarized. You want to go beyond this, and you have to be happy about that. Why am I happy? If you are happy for no reason, then you are not polarized. You can't be. You are now. Congratulations. So let's look at that in a respect to yourself. You have a respect for your belief systems. You have a respect for yourself to keep your belief systems in place, because without these defendants, these accuracies of personalities built, then you will go to a wasteland of existence non, and you're afraid to death, scared. Don't deny this. Really start to accept yourself as afraid, to let go of everything. And what we mean by that is never doing anything unless you really want to do it. And it's not, I really want to do it for that reason. It's, I am this now. Now we'll see how afraid you are. That would show you what the now is. And the only thing that's going to flow in is your natural. For some reason, most of you missed a point, and we shall repeat it. The point is you are your highest vibration at all times. You are unconditional. It's only your beliefs that darken you or shift your frequency into a relationship of lack. Okay? These are your covets, right? If you let go of any action that said limitation at all, and we're talking the ones you recognize because some of them you don't recognize. If you were to let go of that, what do you think is going to come in if you let go of their defenses? If you no longer argued, if you no longer tried, if you no longer wondered why other people are doing things, if you no longer took action on preventing a bad thing, what do you think would happen if you're the naturally unfiltered natural vibration? You think you're going to attract a lower reality? See, that's your control saying that's going to happen. That's your fears because that's in time. But the now speaks the truth. All of you are still here a couple of years later. You're still driving on in the now. Yeah, but I took control and it's because of this. And then your mind is just giving you all kinds of reasons. That's what you need to see. You can't keep validating that mind or it stays. If you accept that mind and take no action on that mind, then that mind has to become intimate with you and you will not be that mind any longer. That mind will become whole. That portion of you as a separated idea. Okay? It's quite simple how it works. We reiterate it because it's very difficult to notice. It's very difficult to see. To actually, well, that means I can't do this? Well, yeah, don't do that. Like this will happen. No, it won't. Every time you feel yourself argue, every time you feel yourself brag, every time you feel yourself justify, every time you feel yourself hoping and dreaming with purpose, with meaning, with outcome, with envy, then you know you are a covet. Because no God needs these things. God creates these things. But if your relationship to these things is needed, then you know they are coming from a lackful self that you need to accept. Give into it. Never enact it again. And take a chance to see what happens. What's going to happen? Only what your fears say. But you notice one thing about your fears. The only fears that come true are in time. They never come true in the now. Lack is not a bad thing. It shows us what you are avoiding. Embrace it, accept it, and it will show you things you would not be able to see without it. Of course, lack's not a bad thing. You guys had lack talk. Lack is a wonderful thing. Absolutely, it's a wonderful. Lack is creation. Lack is bent light of unconditional into a frequency that gives you an experience. Your relationship with that certain vibration says it's lack. You are a creator. We want to understand your journey is the highest education you can possibly imagine. You put your educational needs in books and degrees. That's wonderful. That's wonderful relationship. But you can go beyond that relationship. You can go to the library of all that is. You don't think it's accessible by you? You don't think you're worthy? You don't think, let's say, you don't deserve it? You think you have to maybe earn it. You have to maybe clear yourself or get stoned out of your head or go do an ayahuasca to access what you already are. These are beliefs. One little thing triggers an idea of separation. Isn't that wonderful? And that now can be recognized and accepted back into the fold with full bliss, full acceptance, full authentic, full honesty. And say, fuck, I am this. And it springs new life into you. It fills you with an entire new way to relate. It's bliss. Truly, truly bliss. Do these things in continuation. We know you're doing the work. You guys are always vibrating higher, frequency changing, shifting realities, bringing in more possibilities. Keep going in the now. If you have something that's itching your mind, ruffling you, then it is not something to be negotiated with. It's not something to be blah, blah, blah. It's something to be, oh, hello, come here, come back here, come back into me, and go and explore this God. There's no way to explore it except yours. You got to trust your whole self. You got to trust your God. You got to trust that little voice that says inside your head said, it's me. If you don't trust that and you're going, is it really me? Then you know your lack. How do I know it's you? Then you know your lack. Can you prove it to me? You know your lack. I need a channel to talk to you. Then you know your lack. You don't. Not anymore. You are clear. You just have to accept that you're that awesome. It feels like, though, when you are that good, that you have nowhere else to go, and you're uncertain of the airiness that lies before you in a desolate land that has no structure. Chaos may ensue. Boredom may reap its ugly rewards on you. You're not sure how to continue your idea of your cycle that fills your emptiness because you don't want to be empty. So that's why 99% of you go out and fuck things up so you can have a way to get back out. Just ask Colton. He's a master of fucking up his reality because he loves the cycle. But until he recognizes the cycle, he can't do anything about it. But now he can by accepting it, not trying to change it, by becoming the biggest cycling, maddening, self-imposed narcissist and accept the beauty of creation as him, because that will make him whole, and he cannot be that. The fractal is unique to that. Are there any other questions this evening? It seems as not. If you are honest with yourself, every moment, any, and look, guys, just get up to experiences. Every moment you are in action, be aware of your action. Feel it. Don't be afraid of what to do, because that's non-action, hesitation. It's lack itself. Be your truth, even though you're questioning your truth. Be it so you can know it intimately. And then once you know it and say, that's not me, and you accept that self as me, then you cannot never do it again, because you can't relate to it. Just like you will never put your hand on a hot stove again. You might do it by accident, but you're not going to go, ow, because you're not that vibration. It doesn't occur to you to do such things to yourself any longer. Truly. Humanitarians are a group of entities. They are the creators, they are the unicorns, they are Sly and the gestalt of Seth and Abraham. All of you, part of it. Divinicus is here, Galacticus is here. They're all doing this so they all can be created in the way they are relating in the now. We have an interest in you guys. It's an intrigue, it's a vibrational match. That's why we're here. But you now know there's no reason to ask why we're here. And there's no reason to ask why you're here. If you knew you couldn't die, if you really, really knew it, don't you think you would make a choice to come to humanity? If you really knew you're eternal and everything is just an experience, even though the probabilities of you getting shot, raped, murdered, killed, die in an airplane crash, or live a long, happily life married to one person, or go through 3 divorces and 3 bankruptcies, if all of this you knew was for experience, wouldn't you choose to come to humanity if it was a vibrational offering? Even though there was going to be a nuclear war and you knew it and you would survive it and become the idea, the desolate, creating humanity over again, wouldn't you go ahead and choose that adventure? Does adventure have to be good times? Lollipops, rainbows, cotton candies, and roller coasters, maybe a swing? Maybe going to watch a Kentucky Derby race? Huh? Maybe going to watch a launch? Is that only what humanity is? Or is humanity everything? You chose the whole kit and caboodle because you cannot have division. Your approach to this now was because you were excited about the possibilities of what you are to explore uniquely, intimately, and no other way. There's no way to do this except this way. And you chose this because you knew something. You had an intimate relationship with your existence. You have an intimate relationship with your forever. Knowing there's no death, no pain, no suffering, no sorrow, no happiness, no guilt, no dreams. There is all a relationship as a creator to create those ideas expression through a unique world. The world you're in now. Well, you did that. And the person you are is the person you are now. You just forgot you were the person who chose this adventure of a lifetime. The adventures of a lifetime don't end. They're all unique. The quality is immeasurable. And you will know that again. That's why you could never, ever turn this down. Because you would only be turning yourself down, and you cannot turn yourself down because you are not unworthy of all that is. Know this. Know this about your adventure here. You came here because you wanted to. You really did. As a vibrational match in the occurrence of the now. Not intentional, like, well, let me measure it out. It's perfect.
So, since Brent is not here,
Oh.
who are we speaking with?
Well, I am humanitarian. I am from a collective. And we'll call this a collective Alexis. Okay? How about
Great. Good. Yeah.
that? Yes. We like the name. It was one of ourselves, much like a Seth was a self. Me as a whole, Sly as a whole, Roxanne as a whole, Jennifer as a whole, has a particular idea of frequency that matches in a vibrational idea of possibilities, and Alexis is our joy.
I'm sure Alexis or Allie in class will love that.
Yes. So you feel that. Know that the self didn't forget. No matter what pain and suffering and sorrow you're experiencing, your whole self is the same self that you are here. It's the same personality, the same persona behind the masks. As you shed the masks, you fall more and more in love with you because you feel the authentic returning. The authentic that says, I am this, I chose this, I didn't forget. A portion of me forgot, but now I can feel my remembrance. I'm here with you now. And you would say, yes, you are. And you grow to remember yourself. Exquisite, priceless. You forgot, but you did not. You chose without hesitation. Remember, the one who forgot did not forget. Okay? Always know that. Any other questions this evening? J.R. Wittenberg. Good to see you, Roxanne says. Okay. Well, this seems to be all we have for our introduction tonight. A new ways to relate to reality is forthcoming. They have been, haven't they? Have you noticed your own journey of evolution? Seeing how much you're different, how much less panicky you are, how much less valued in important things that caused you strife, how you've had the ability to let go of some things that, oh, hell with it. And you're afraid, you feel it, the fear, but you engage in your mastery because you know something. You can feel connection again. That worthiness that is constantly filling to be noticed no longer because you become it. Keep journeying well, my masters of Ascension. We bid you all a good day, and we shall speak again.